I have never shared this story except, strangely enough, to my teacher at the time. I was in the first grade at Northside Elementary in DeSoto, Texas. We lived about 3 long blocks down, as my mother liked to call it. I personally feel it was a lot more. My sister and I were brought to school on a regular basis and walked home. My parents decided to divorce right at that time. My dad moved out and we started seeing him every other weekend. My mom began dating someone else, and I remember she was no longer interested in taking us to school as much. She became very preoccupied with her new relationship, and I remember that she often had me walk to school, as well as coming home. Thinking back now, I'm not sure why I was late. There might have been a doctor appointment or something. I remember that it wasn't very late at all, maybe just an hour or so after school had started. My mom pulled up in the car and I got out. I remember hoping that she would wait there and watch me go up the flight of stairs and inside, but she drove off, to my dismay. This is when I saw him, a man, pretty normal looking, and stepped out of a car looking directly at me. My mom had pulled off, and this man was the only person around. He crossed the street quickly at an angle, coming directly towards me. I remember turning and running up the stairs. There were 3 flights of stairs and the landings in between. When you are a little girl, these stairs seem so much bigger. I remember looking over my shoulder and he was literally running up the stairs after me. And I had a horrible gut reaction, and I ran as fast as I could. I remember the double doors in front of me, and I was panicked, thinking I wouldn't make it. At that young age, I felt the energy coming from the otherwise normal-looking person who looked like a dad. I remember the huge intrinsic feeling of doom and the urgency to go through those doors. I did, and I immediately turned around and saw him standing on part of the second set of stairs, and he just stood there, looking at me as I looked at him from the inside of the building. Then he looked very frustrated, turned, and walked away back to his car. I remember telling my teacher about this. Maybe a week later, the police detective showed up to interview me about what happened. This makes me think that it might be connected to something that happened in the area at that time. I don't think that I have ever been that afraid in my life, and it was a powerful internal fear. It was like my body told me immediately to run. This is my story, and I'm going to try to load a picture of the school entryway so you can see what I was describing. I've been on this sub for a couple of years now. Had my own couple of let's not meet moments, but for some reason tonight, I just needed to share what happened. For context, I'm in school still, and I work for my family members on certain weekends at the local college selling concessions at the stadium. It's about once or twice a month at the stadium, and it's off towards the edge of town. It's Friday night, and I'd just gotten out of school. I had to go straight to work. I get to work's a 4-hour shift, half shift tonight, and my boss, my aunt, tells me we need more spoons for tomorrow's event. We sell ice cream, and these events have like 5,000 plus people at them. I say, okay, I'll go grab them on my way home. The only store opened up with heavy-duty spoons is all the way on the other side of town, and I still wanted to go meet up with some of my friends and mess around. I decided to take the faster but more sketchy way around the outskirts of town. I live in a weather bipolar state. It snowed last night, but I figured the roads would be fine enough, even if they weren't plowed. I take off to the store, and the first 5 minutes go by with nothing wrong. I haven't seen a single car or any building the entire time, but keep in mind it's approaching 9 p.m., and I'm on the outskirts of town, and no one really takes this way unless they really have to. All of a sudden, I see something in the corner of my eye, and it looks like a man, roughly 5'8", I'd say, wearing shorts, a t-shirt, and a backwards hat. He's in the ditch walking in snow and it's 10 degrees out. My first thought is to pull over, but I'm on the phone with my mom at the time and she warns me not to, as some things have happened before in this town. For example, a couple of years ago a college girl was kidnapped and found dead, rolled up in a rug in 2014. I considered stopping, but for some reason I tell myself not to. I wasn't really worried about anything. I'm a young dude driving a big pickup truck. Last type of person anyone would want to harm, right? I passed the man, going about 40 miles per hour. Like I said, the roads aren't the best. I drive not even 500 feet past him, and immediately, a car that I did not see at all before turns on and pulls out of a field entrance off the road and starts to follow me. At first, I thought I was just focused on the man in the ditch, and I didn't see a road, and that's where they came from. But later I found out there was not even a road there. Now, again, I'm not super worried, but I've watched my fair share of crime movies and read plenty of stories on the subs, and I didn't feel it was a threat yet. I started to approach the town again, and I have to take some turns to get to where I'm going. I turn left, the car turns left. I turn right, the car turns right. I go around a roundabout, and I skip my turn and go twice as no one else was there, and this car follows. At this point, I'm starting to worry a little, but maybe they just need to go to the store also. I then pull up to a stop sign. I wasn't on the best side of town either, might I add. And I turn without my signal. The car follows. Now at this point, I should have just went straight to the police station, but I still didn't think much of it. I'm 2 miles from the store, where plenty of people will be. I take a few more turns and the car continues to follow me. I completely blow a stop sign at a non-busy intersection and the car does a quick stop and go and catches up. At this point, I'm 2 turns till the store, but I'm still not worried. I turn into the store and the car turns also. The store also has a gas station, so I pull there first and act like I was getting gas. The car sits off to the side of the road in between the gas station and the store, and it just sits there. I wait about 10 minutes and the car doesn't move. At this point, I start to get worried. I'm a young kid alone, at night, on a bad side of town. I call my friends I'm supposed to meet up with later on, and give them the license plate for the worst case scenario. I then take off to the store. I cross the street and the car comes straight behind me. I'm freaking out on the phone, not knowing if I should call the cops or not. I go and park as close as possible to the store, and the car parks 3 rows behind me and a couple down. It's getting late at this point, and the store is closing soon. There's only a couple of others in the lot. I turn my truck back on and go to park in a complete opposite side of the lot. I get out and I completely bolt inside the store. I'm not super overweight, but I'm not skinny either. I'm about 6'1" and 200 pounds. Who would want anything to do with me? I get the spoons and I take my time in the store. I go to call my friend to walk back outside and my phone is dead. I look out the sliding doors and suddenly there's a white van right next to my driver's side. It looks like no one's in it, but the back windows are covered and it's running. Big red flag. I run to customer service and explain everything, but they think I'm some young kid messing around. At this time, I didn't see the original follow car, but no way in hell am I going outside with that van next to my truck. After waiting for what seems like hours, the van pulls forward and the original car appears from the side of the building. They both stopped by the in-store Starbucks window, and they talked, and then both drove off. I waited another 10 minutes and dashed outside. I speed to my friend's house, and when I got there, I parked in his garage. My one buddy asked why there's a big orange mark on my tire, and my heart sinks. When I was inside, the follow car must have marked my tire. After inspecting the rest of the truck, we find a small pipe dropped in the bed of my truck, surrounded by snow. It was about 2 inches wide and I'd say about 18 inches long, wrapped in duct tape. This was not mine. I was alone, no phone, scared, and in a part of town I'm not familiar with. I try to laugh it off, but now that everyone's asleep, I can't help but think what would have happened if I walked outside. I've always been sort of ego boosted on the fact that I'm a chubby, fat dude that no one would want to mess with, but after tonight, I realize anyone can be targeted. So, creepy men who followed me all night and waited by my truck? Let's not meet. Update. Police came and took the pipe today. Many of you said, and I already kind of knew, that they couldn't really do anything about it as nothing really happened. They said that they'll look into the license plate, but other than that, nothing much can happen as no crimes were actually committed.